Hello, I'm Tsuyoku Naritai, and today I'll be talking about the population issue and my stance on it. I believe that having an excessive number of children is one of the most morally bankrupt things you can do in this day and age, and I'll explain why. In a world where technology is becoming increasingly stronger at what it does, eventually, we are going to reach a point where excessive manpower in the order of the billions we have today and the tens of billions we may have soon enough is not only no longer vital to the economy, but an ineffective solution to a growing problem. Many of the problems we face today are difficult to handle at best, even maintaining our current population and resource usage. The United Nations forecasts that our population will begin to come to a halt in growth by 2100 or 2110 or so, but waiting until such a time would place great strain on the environment and our society, not to mention the fact that a halt in growth of population would not mean an immediate halt in the consumption of resources. At current rates of resource usage, the current population of Earth is close to using up double what the Earth is capable of naturally restoring. To add on to that, every new generation will refuse to accept worse living conditions than their parents were born into. As a direct result of the modern mindset, the scientific progress will keep increasing living conditions generation upon generation. Developing countries will also begin to industrialize and not only use up massive amounts of resources and emit massive amounts of pollution as they do so, but add to the growing population year by year. All of this is to say that keeping on our current path of almost wild population growth, even by exponential standards, not to mention all the other problems we face with having more people around, is unsustainable even in the singular problem of resource strain. Many of our current problems require less usage, not more people. Less arable land being used up, less emissions being put into the atmosphere, less people to take up an increasingly low number of jobs and enrollment offers, less demand for limited supply, driving the cost of living up for every single person in the globe. Let us envision a world for a moment where supply is limited not by our ability to harness it, but the Earth's ability to reproduce it. We are getting remarkably close to this stage. In this world, people would be consumers far more than producers. We would only need as many people as it takes to man the equipment and keep society functioning and researching. This would buy us crucial time. As it stands today, many people stand by the right to bring people into this world. But how important really is that right? If doing so directly hurts everyone on this planet, and not doing so would simply mean that you lose out on the experience of parenting, then it is a morally bankrupt decision to do so. Even more morally bankrupt would be to bring even more children into this world, having already had the experience of parenting. If by some miracle, every country in the world instituted a one-child system when we reach this point, the world's population would likely drop by roughly half every 30 years. This would be drastic, but allow the world to reach levels of under 1 billion in roughly 100 years. This would buy crucial time for society to advance until we can face the problems curtailing the development of our population at the moment. Having a child not only decreases standards of living for every single other human being in the world, but drives the logistical curve of humanity ever so much closer to the red. And in a world of freely accessible contraception, I'd much rather limit every person to one child than reduce everyone's living standards drastically through climate change, resource depletion, or even plain lack of supply. Every life you decide to bring into the world, when manpower is no longer important, may just end an existing one. Why make that trade at all? And is it even ethical to bring a life into the world where they will cause direct harm to other people and may not even have a positive existence themselves?